Pete points out that Bengals fans have been circulating a clip from 2009, Hard Knocks, where Katie Blackburn negotiating with Andre Smith. Remember him? He was a first-round pick out of Alabama, supposed to be like a generational tackle. Right. He never really panned out, but he was a first-round pick, and it's time to get paid.
Right.
And she said, you're offering these people so much money, and for some reason, they're saying it's not enough. And that is just a poisonous attitude that is aimed at getting public opinion to turn against the player. Just like what I said yesterday, when the Cowboys put out there, they've made Micah Parsons an offer to be the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Yeah, that's to get people to say, why are you being selfish? Why do you want so much money? Why can't you just be happy? Why won't you be happy? My life would be so much easier if you would just be happy and take the offer. And that does tap into the fan bias that points toward keeping the team together and having everyone out on the field performing.
There you go.
Just be happy. Why can't you just be happy? I'm getting by with my whatever I make. You should be happy at getting 1,000 times whatever it is I make. That's the attitude, and whether they do it on purpose or not, they push those buttons with the fans to try to stir up that resentment and in turn put pressure on the player.
So where do you think this goes here, right? Because like we talked about earlier, you brought it up. They're not going to go. He's not going to get traded. I don't think that's going to happen here. A guy that's almost 31 years old, plus $30 million a year contract, plus we're going to have to trade assets, and the team ain't going to give him away easily here because he's under contract. So they're going to want something substantial for that. That's not going to happen, right? I mean, where do you think this goes? I tend to kind of feel the same way I felt about the other ones. I feel like this is going to be the Joe Burrow special again. I feel like the pressure's on the Bengals. They're too popular now. Look, we're sitting here talking about them with the opening segment. Like, that didn't happen 7-8 years ago. Now it's like a real thing. And I think all the things we talk about, and we know they're in the window to win a Super Bowl with this guy at quarterback and all of that. We talked about the defense. Really, like, Mike, who's the next somewhat household name on their defense, right? Who is it?
Yep.
Who do you think? I mean, seriously, can you even think of anybody, right? I'm not even trying to be a jerk.
Sam Hubbard retired. No, I mean, yeah, who's the guy who stands out? And I think of Dax Hill just because he was the failed first-round pick that was supposed to replace Jesse Bates because they were too cheap to pay him. And they thought, instead of paying him, we'll just draft somebody to replace him, and it didn't work.
Right. So it's like, oh, okay, we got Cam Taylor-Britt, who's good at the corner. Jermaine Pratt, their linebacker. But guess what?
He wants out. He has to be traded.
Guess what? Oh, hey, yeah, because he wants to be paid because he's like, I'm kind of damn good. I'm actually probably this. Yeah.
Why can't he be happy?
I know, exactly.
He should just be happy.
But because of all that, I just feel like if they let Trey Hendrickson out the door or bungle this and mess this all up and drag it into training camp again and mess things up that way, man, it's on the Bengals. It's on the front office. That's people are going to start blaming them. I'm going to start blaming them. Well, this is easy here. This is definitely one of the best pass rushers in football. Definitely. So we got to pay him at least somewhat close to the top 5 guys in the sport at that position. And I think, that's where he wants his respect, and I understand that.
You mentioned Burrow.
Right.
They had a real issue with Burrow.
No doubt.
Burrow was getting closer and closer to the Carson Palmer phase of his career, which consisted of Palmer in 2011 deciding that the Bengals are prioritizing money over winning and I don't want to be here anymore. And they knew that Burrow was getting there. He was putting pressure on them publicly, and I believe he was putting pressure on them privately to take care of the guys he wants there to help him. And it's not, I want to have a team of superstars around me. I just want to have guys that I can compete with so I can get to the playoffs and make a difference there, and I can do my thing there. So he had 4 guys. Well, Joe, this is me pretending to be the Bengals talking to Joe Burrow. Joe, we gave you 3 out of 4. Why can't you be happy? Why don't you get happy? I mean, I think that same attitude applies. Hey, Joe, come on. We can't do all of them. We can't pay all of them. We gave you 3. We gave you your 2 receivers. Nobody thought we were going to be able to keep T. Higgins, and we did. And we made Jamar Chase happy. We made T happy. We made Gesicki happy. We gave you 3 weapons. We'll worry about the defense. We'll draft somebody. Now, we're not. Look, Oh, and by the way, you know, your buddy Trey's being unreasonable. He should be happy too. We've offered to make him the richest Bengals defender in team history. That was trumpeted in the Bengals.com article regarding Katie Blackburn's comments. Never mind the fact that they left out the, you know, be happy, or as my mom used to say when I would say I'm mad, she would say, rub your ass and get glad, which is basically the same message, right?
Yeah.
That's not in there. Just be happy. You're not happy, just be happy. Just flip the switch and be happy. That's not there, but we offered him a contract that would make him the richest Bengals defender ever. Okay.
Isn't he
fine.
already? He's probably already. We need to check
Probably
this out.
already is.
He already is the richest probably Bengal
Probably
defender
already
ever.
is.
Right. What the hell does that
Because the money keeps going up.
Right.
The salary cap keeps going up.
Yeah.
The player pay keeps going up. You're always going to have, every year we're going to have this conversation. Who's the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history? It's always going to be somebody else. It's a temporary title. The highest paid quarterback is a temporary title. There was a time, not that long ago, $27.5 million made Jimmy Garoppolo the highest paid quarterback in NFL history until Kirk Cousins came along at 28 and became the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. And then somebody else at I think it was Matt Ryan at 30, highest paid quarterback in NFL history. It keeps going and going and going. The numbers keep going up. And see, that's the problem. We're privy to the numbers that are earned by the players. We're never fully aware of the revenue that goes into the pockets of the owners. We know what they're worth, but you know they've got other holdings, and whoever knows how accurate those numbers are. It's a shitload of money. But it would be great to have the same transparency for everything that flows into the pockets of the owners. I'd love to know how much money at the end of the day every owner takes off the table. And I know they do it through shell companies and shell games. And Jerry Jones, when he testified last year in the Sunday Ticket antitrust trial, said he's never made a dollar off the Cowboys, which I find impossible to believe unless he's funneling all the money to family members. But regardless, we have full information about the players, no information about the owners. And yes, you should always have the richest offensive, defensive, special teams player in team history for every team, every year. One of those guys should be the richest ever because it keeps going up and up and up. And if you don't have the richest ever, that means you have a crappy team.
Yeah.
Because if your best defensive player now is making less than your best defensive player from 10 years ago, that guy must stink.
Right. Well, and I don't think anybody's going, oh, the Bengals, they just throw out money and like, oh, what a great accomplishment. The biggest, the highest paid defensive player ever in Bengals history. Yeah, they're not known to pay people that way. And like we said, Trey Hendrickson probably has that title already. I mean, that's upper quartile of the upper quartile type of stuff right there with that one. I mean,
hanging banner.
It definitely is. I mean, you said it. The two receivers. Gesicki was $8 million. That's not that big of a deal. If I'm Joe Burrow, I go, that's not that big of a favor, guys. $8 million. Come on. What's that? Like, half the market for the top guys at tight end in football. You didn't do anything special for me. Thanks for that pretend, gift you gave me. But the Hendrickson thing.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
And we broke down the Chase and Higgins deals.
Right.
I hate to say that guys did bad deals, so I won't.
Okay.
But look at the breakdowns. We got the full breakdowns. And ask yourself, especially with Higgins, the leverage he had, the ability to make $26.2 million this year and become a free agent next year, and you look at what he got, what the deal actually is when you break down every year the guarantees and how much security he really has. If that was my cousin, my friend, my nephew, anybody, client, whoever, if somebody came to me and said, should I sign that deal? I'd say no. Just take the 26 and hit the road next year and be that guy that gets crazy, ridiculous money. But they preyed on the fact, Chris, that he wanted to be a Bengal. See, they'll use anything they can against you to get a better deal. Oh, you want to be a Bengal? Okay. They light up. Oh, he really wants to be here. We can take advantage of him. Oh, he's from Cincinnati. We can take advantage of him. They do that stuff. All the teams do that stuff. It's why Matt Burke left Minnesota. Well, they lowballed him. He's from St. Paul, and he's got 73 kids. He doesn't want to move. He won't leave. Let's lowball him.
Yeah, well,
and
as
he
we
says,
talked
screw
about,
you, and he goes to Baltimore and wins the Super Bowl.
Most football players want to play football. They want to be in an environment they're comfortable in. Most football players are simple people. It's like football. I want to go home. Maybe I drink beers. Maybe I play video games, and I do it all again tomorrow. Or if I have kids, I deal with them and play video games with them and then do it all again tomorrow. Whatever. It's not. So, yes, it does. It gets used against them. But, I mean, when I look at it from the Bengals' perspective, I just go, this is a no-brainer here. Now, maybe there's a little, fight over just the money average and whatever. And maybe there's a little bit of a thing on the years altogether, too. Because I can imagine the Bengals don't want to commit to something for 5 years or anything like that where Trey Hendrickson's at. I would think they want a 2 to 3 year type of deal with Hendrickson. And that's what's got to get figured out. But as far as
that's
I'm
all
concerned,
they ever are, though.
Yeah,
They're
I know.
At most, you're committed for 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years to where maybe you can get out after, for sure after
right.
2. And maybe it's not even that big of damage if it was after 1, right? Where we're going to have to take a hit here, but either way. But I would think it's something like that they want here with a defense end, like we talked about, who is 30 and a half years old, and by the end of this contract, they'll be 33, something like that. And I understand them wanting a short-term deal that way.
By the way, Matt Burke does not have 73 children. That was
an embellishment.
Effect because, yes, a slight embellishment because the Vikings used against him the fact it was going to be a major pain in the ass to move his family to another city, but he did it anyway because they lowballed him, and I applaud him for that because they tried to take advantage of you, and they took advantage of T. Higgins, I believe. They placated Jamar Chase by allowing him to say, hey, I'm making $40.25 million. I'm the highest paid non-quarterback, but you know what, Chris? There's a phony baloney back-end year on that deal that pushes it to that point. So if I'm Burrow, I'm going to look at those 3 contracts and say, yeah, you signed these guys, but man, each one of them did you a favor here. All the more reason to pay Hendrickson. All the more reason to take care of him. Give the guy what he wants. The other 3 guys gave you a break. So 1 out of 4 isn't going to give you a break. So pay him. Why don't you be happy, Bengals? Turn it around on them. Hey, Bengals, why don't you be happy? Right? You've got the money. You can afford it. Just be happy. That's what you have to pay to have a great player. And this idea that, and here's how I think it plays out. I think at some point Burrow will, not necessarily publicly, but he'll privately remind them that he's still not happy, even though they think he should be happy, and tell them they got to get this done. And I think once he starts putting pressure on them again, they'll get something done. Like you said, with a 2 or 3 year commitment, probably 2 years, a real 2 year commitment, a bump up, new money average goes up. He's at 16. It isn't all that hard to get a higher new money average. You can put a phony baloney year or 2 on the back end to make it look better. And they could get him north of 30 very easily if they wanted to.
Yeah, I would think so.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.